Ever get an email and you're like, this has got to be too good to be true, like it's offering something incredible, or it looks like it's from someone you know, but something feels off?
Yeah.
Well, that off feeling could be your gut telling you that you're about to walk right into a trap, and the trap is being set by AI-powered hackers.
That's right. And what's really worrying is these aren't just your normal phishing attempts. This is a whole different level of cyber attack, and it's all because of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of scary how good it's getting.
When our listeners wrote in and asked us to look at how AI is changing cybersecurity, we had no idea, right?
Right.
But then we found this report from FernandoJucca.com, and it really opened our eyes. It talks about how hackers are using things like ChatGPT to make their attacks crazy effective.
And the thing is, it's not like ChatGPT is magically transforming your average, amateur hacker into some kind of coding genius overnight. It's more like it's giving them a major boost, making the techniques that hackers already use way more powerful and way harder to stop.
So it's like, imagine giving a chef, but like a chef who's already amazing, and you're giving them this whole new set of knives, top of the line, perfectly sharp. They already knew how to cook, but now they can do it with this unbelievable speed and precision.
Exactly. And to really understand how big of a deal this is, we got to look at what's actually happening. This report talks about a situation with some Chinese hackers, and get this, they were targeting OpenAI employees.
Oh, come on, that's almost too perfect. They're using AI to attack the people who make AI.
Right, exactly, the irony.
So how'd they do it?
Well, they used ChatGPT to make these phishing emails. And these weren't your usual, click here to win a prize scams.
Mm-hmm.
These emails, they were good. They used language that only people on the inside would know, copy the way that OpenAI talks in their emails, the whole thing.
So even the people who are supposed to be the experts, the ones with all the latest security and who know what to look for, even they're getting tricked by this stuff.
It's a problem. It really shows how dangerous this threat is.
Yeah.
If people who literally work in cybersecurity are being fooled by this, it means we need to seriously rethink how we approach security online.
Yeah, it's not reassuring, that's for sure. So, okay, AI is making phishing way more advanced and harder to spot. Got it. But it gets even wilder, right? Because this report, it doesn't stop at emails. It gets into some really unsettling stuff. They talk about this group called, what was it, Cyber Aftreagers?
Cyber Aftreagers, yeah, they're an Iranian group, and they were using ChatGPT, but they were using it to take advantage of a weakness, a really bad weakness in industrial control systems.
Industrial control systems, what are those exactly?
Oh, those are the systems that control all the essential infrastructure stuff like power grids and water treatment plants.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and transportation networks, big important stuff.
Okay, hold on. So this isn't just like stealing data or emptying bank accounts anymore. We're talking about the ability to mess with vital services that people need every single day. Like, that's terrifying.
That's the thing. This isn't some far-off dystopian future. It's happening right now. This Cyber Aftreagers group, their attacks, they hit Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, and County Mayo in Ireland, and both times they caused interruptions to the water supply.
And they used ChatGPT to pull this off? I mean, that's like giving someone a weapon, but the weapon is this tool that can, break into incredibly important systems.
It shows just how vulnerable our essential infrastructure really is, especially in this age of AI-powered cyber warfare. A lot of these systems, they were designed without even considering the possibility of these kinds of really advanced AI attacks.
Right, because who was thinking about AI being used like this, back when these systems were being built? It's crazy to think about. So we've gone from super convincing phishing emails to attacks that could, shut down entire cities. And through all of it, ChatGPT is playing a major role. Is there anything else in this report?
There's more, yeah. We've talked about how AI can make those phishing attacks even stronger, and how it can find weaknesses in really important infrastructure. But there's another thing, and it's just as worrying, really. Disinformation.
Right, because it's not just about breaking into systems or taking data anymore. It's like they're messing with information now, right? Creating stories, shaping how people see things, and in the end, it's about changing what people believe.
Exactly, and that's where these AI tools, especially ones like ChatGPT, become really dangerous if they're in the wrong hands. We're not talking about those old clunky bots anymore. This is AI that can create content that's almost impossible to tell apart from something a human wrote.
So instead of just like sharing a link to some made-up article or inventing a quote, someone can now use AI to make entire news articles from scratch, or social media posts, even scripts for videos. And it's all designed to push whatever agenda they want, right?
Yeah, exactly. The report, it talks about this group. They're called Operation A2Z, and they were supposedly backed by Azerbaijan. They used AI to create pro-Azerbaijan propaganda, spread it around, and they were trying to cover up their human rights record and just make people think better of them.
It's like having a whole army of like AI spin doctors, but they're working nonstop to control what people see and hear and think. And the really scary part is that most people would have no idea that what they're reading or watching, it's all made by some AI, you know?
That's what's so sneaky about it.
Yeah.
It makes people start to doubt real news sources, the ones that are actually trying to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And it makes it incredibly hard to figure out what's real and what's fake. And it goes way beyond just those geopolitical things. Imagine this tech being used to mess with elections, to manipulate the stock market, even to like start violence.
Yeah, it does sound like something out of like a sci-fi movie or something, but it's actually happening. Which makes you wonder, if AI can create fake news that's so convincing, how are we supposed to know what to believe anymore? Like, how do we even start to deal with this new kind of information war?
It is a challenge, it really is. But
Yeah.
the most important thing is understanding that AI can be used to take advantage of our weaknesses without actually having to, hack into anything. Like, remember that fake ChatGPT error the report mentioned?
I mean, the one where people were saying that ChatGPT had this glitch and it made it say it supported Donald Trump, that one.
Exactly,
Right.
that one. It was totally made up,
Yeah.
obviously. But people believed it. It went viral, and everyone's talking about it, arguing about AI bias and all that.
I know. It's crazy how something so obviously fake can spread so fast. Like, how do people fall for that?
I think it shows how powerful social media is and how easy it is to manipulate people, especially when you're feeding into their biases. Like, people are more likely to believe something if it already fits into what they already think, even if it's not true.
So even if it's not directly hacking into computers or anything, AI can still be used to mess with public opinion, turn people against each other, make people distrust the government, institutions, all of that.
Exactly. That's the whole point. The real danger isn't just the AI itself. It's about who's controlling it and what they're using it for.
Yeah.
And as AI gets smarter and easier to use, we need to be ready for even more of this, even sneakier applications.
Wow. This whole conversation has been, I don't know, kind of intense, right? We started with AI making phishing attacks better. Then it was like, oh, it can mess with our power grids and water. And now it's like AI can change what we believe, like our whole understanding of the world.
It's definitely a lot to take in, yeah.
Yeah.
But like they say, you know what they say, right? Knowledge is power. So the more we know about these threats and how to deal with them, the better off we'll be in this new, digital world.
Totally. So where do we even start? Like, what can regular people do to protect themselves from all this AI-powered stuff?
It all comes down to being aware, being cautious. Any email, any link, any message that seems weird, too good to be true, or if it's like, you have to do this right now, just take a second. Double check who sent it, look for typos, anything that feels off, trust your gut.
Yeah, like if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's never been more true than it is now, right? But
Sure.
what about the bigger picture? What can governments and these tech companies do? This feels like something they need to be all over.
Oh, absolutely. Government, they have a big role to play here. They need to be creating laws that deal with all these AI security risks, setting guidelines for how AI should be developed so it doesn't become, a weapon. And they got to hold the bad guys accountable.
So we need rules, clear rules to make sure that AI is used for good, not to like unleash chaos.
Exactly. And the tech companies, they got to step up too. They're the ones building this stuff, so they need to make sure their platforms, their AI models, all of it is as secure as possible. They got to share information about threats, work together, and really think about the ethics of all this. Like, what are they building and why?
It sounds like OpenAI, the ones behind ChatGPT, they're at least aware of the problem, right?
Yeah, they seem to get it, which is a good thing. The report actually highlights that OpenAI knows that their tech can be misused, and they seem committed to, fixing things. They're working on safety protocols and stuff like that, even collaborating with researchers to figure out how to address these challenges.
Okay, well, that's something, right? At least they're trying. But this feels way bigger than just one company,
You're right, it is.
Yeah.
This is going to take all of us. Governments, tech companies, cybersecurity people, even everyday folks like you and me. We all have a part to play in making sure that AI is used responsibly. The future of the internet, maybe even the world, kind of depends on it.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening. It's exciting to think about the potential of AI, but also a little scary, to be honest. Like, we're at this point where the choices we make now, they're going to affect everything.
Absolutely. We're at a crossroads, no doubt about it. How we develop AI, how we use it, how we control it, all of that will have a huge impact on the world for a long, long time.
Well, on that note, this has been a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, look at AI and cybersecurity. Thanks to everyone for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay curious, and let's all work together to make sure the digital world we're building is a safe and awesome one.